Welcome back to my polymer clay session. Today I'll be teaching everyone how to do a swirl pattern of a night scene with the ocean. So this is the necklace that we'll be making today. Also with that technique, we can learn how to make a beautiful pair of earrings like this. So please stay tuned. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce what materials you would need for making the pendant. You actually do not need a lot of tools. You just need a cutter, and these are the colors that I will be using today. So to make the ocean, the color of the ocean, I have white, I have different shades of blue. It doesn't really matter what shades of blue you have, as long as you have 3 different shades. Make sure it goes from light to middle to dark. The middle color that I have is a bit of a greenish blue, emerald, close to an emerald color. So you can play around with the 3 shades of blue. The last one I have, since I said it would be the night sky, I got a black, but the black has glitter in it, so it will simulate the starry night sky. The last piece of clay I have here is actually scrap clay. So scrap clay meaning it's bits and pieces of clay that are left over from my previous projects that I have done. And this will make up the middle of the pendant. So this will be on the inside and it will not be seen. So now we will start. All these pieces of clay that I'm making use of, you want to make sure that the white and the black are about 1 cm in diameter to 1.5 cm, and the 3 shades of blue are on the smaller side, so at least 1 cm, slightly smaller than your white and black clay. So you want to roll all of them into the rough shape of a ball. Alright, going from light to dark. We are going to make sure that our scrap clay is very round. Okay, this one has to be round. The rest of the colors, if they are roughly, as long as they're roughly round, it's okay. But the one in the middle, the scrap clay, it's going to be the one that holds the shape of your pendant. So you want this to be really round. Alright, so now starting from the lightest to the darkest, what I usually do, here's a tip. I would line them up so I know which one I would have to grab next first. So I put the white, the light blue, okay, and then my medium blue, and then my dark blue, and then the black. So these 3 will come after I have done these 2. Next, I'm going to actually roll it on a smooth tabletop. I'm going to roll it into a long tube like this. The colors for the ocean first. The black I'm going to leave alone, so I'm not going to touch the black clay. Now I'm going to show you how to make these 4 colors, to use these 4 colors and make it into the color of the ocean. So I'm going to put the white, the light blue, the turquoise color, and then a navy blue, and I'm just going to lump them together like this, okay, and I'm going to twist it. Okay, so I'm going to keep twisting till the color kind of mixes together, and I'm going to roll so that it blends in together like that. And then I'm going to cut it in half and place it together like this and twist it again. So now the color actually then mixes more. Okay, gonna roll it again. And you can see now the color is really starting to mix and marble a little. Now I'm going to use my cutter again. I'm going to cut it in half. Place the two halves together. You know, you can also pick the side, the color that you really like better. It's up to you. So if I really like the color mixing on this side, I will choose this side and place the two of it together like that. And then I'll cut it in half again another time. So now I have quarters, and I'm going to place the quarters in a rectangle like this. Now I'm going to use my thumbs and my index finger to kind of mash them together so that it becomes a sheet. Try not to press it too thin, because if it gets too thin later when we are making the swirl pattern, it might not come out as what you would want it to be. It would actually blend with the scrap clay instead, and then the ocean color that you're going for would actually not turn out great. So now we are done with the ocean color. And the black that we had put aside earlier, we are going to do the black now. This one's very simple because I am not mixing any colors with the night sky. So I'm going to just give it a good press, similarly to how I did for my ocean. I am going to press it to a flat piece of a similar size. Okay, so now I have something like this. Now black is a very strong color, and you might want to be careful not to use too much black, because if you use too much, the color will overpower the other colors. And now we are going to move on to the next step, which for this step you would actually need this acrylic board. What you need to keep in mind when using the board is that you have to make sure that it is smooth and clean. So you do not want the colors from the previous clay to be sticking onto the clay you're working with today. So you just want to make sure that you have all those things prepared. So now we'll move on to rolling the clay. The scrap clay that we had earlier, we are now going to use this. Make sure that it's very round. Okay, this one will make up the core of your pendant. So you want to make sure that it is as round as possible. Then we are going to cover the sphere, or the middle, the core of it, with the clay that we had made earlier. So you want to make sure that the surface you choose are the colors you like, especially for the ocean ones. Now as you can see, I have a bit of excess. I am just going to tear it off. Okay, I'm going to tear it off like that and just stick it over my clay like this. Okay, so now I have one side covered in the ocean color. Now I'll use the black and cover the uncovered part with the black clay. So I'm going to then tear my black clay as well to the amount that I would be needing. So as you can see here, I've actually torn off a bit more on this side. So don't worry if you still have some uncovered scrap. just take a small piece and patch it up like that, okay, to cover it. Usually I try to do a half and half, so I cover half of it with the ocean. Today's a little bit more. Today I covered 2/3 of it with ocean and 1/3 of it with the black. So the amount you cover will actually determine how much of it will be your ocean and how much of it will be the night sky. So now I'm just going to roll it into a round ball to make sure that the surface is smooth. Another tip you want to take note of is when you are actually pressing the clay to cover your the scrap clay in the middle, you want to make sure that it's not too thin and it has certain thickness to it. Because if it's too thin, it might not be enough when you actually press it down later, you will see, to make the pendant. Okay, now we are going to choose the top part that you would think, the part where the black and your ocean colors meet. So you're going to choose at which joining you like the best. Put this right on top. Now we're going to make the swirl pattern. With your board, you want to slant it at an angle and gently start going in circles. Please keep your circles small. I'm keeping my circle small. The smaller I keep my circle, okay, the larger, the flatter my bead is going to become. If I do large circles, my bead is going to become very long, lengthwise, and I do not want that. So as you can see, my bead is actually becoming longer. Now this way, okay, it's actually becoming longer. I want it to be smaller, to actually be wider, and not so long, to be a little shorter. So the circle that I'm doing has to be smaller. Make sure that when you're doing your swirls, you want to keep going in one direction. So if you're going anti-clockwise, remember to always go anti-clockwise and don't change your direction. Okay, and you roll until you are satisfied with the swirl that you have. So right now I can really see that the swirl is taking place. So I will actually now take a look at the swirl that I have on top and the swirl at the bottom. So there'll be always one side that you prefer, and I actually do prefer the one on the bottom. So I'm going to use this swirl instead, and I'm satisfied with the amount that has mixed already. I'm going to place it like that on the table and use my board to press it flat. Now you don't want it too flat, okay? You want it to have a certain thickness to it. So now that it is pressed flat, like that, okay, I want to, because the sides are now quite sharp, if you can see, they're actually, the edges are quite sharp. So I'm going to use my fingers to kind of round the sides a little. Now, you know, there will be fingerprints while you are doing this. So I do recommend using parchment paper to kind of smooth the edges out. Okay, so if you don't want to get your fingerprints on it, you can use parchment paper to help you round out the edges so your fingerprints do not get on it. I can then again, I can fold the parchment paper in half, put it in between, because I was holding on the two surfaces like that earlier on, so my fingerprints would have gotten on there. So I'm going to use my parchment paper for both sides and then press it down. Give it a good press again. Okay, and there you go. You have a nice pendant that is ready. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to work with the leftover clay. So earlier on, we already did the swirl pendant, which we will put aside for now. And I will show you what to do with the remaining clay. So for the remaining clay, you just want to make it into a round ball. I'm going to just work with the blue, so I'm going to put aside the black and not work with it. So for the blue, now I have it into a round ball. I am going to roughly cut it into half with my cutter. Okay, so that I can make 2 beads with it. So I'm going to cut it into half. So I have 2 portions. You can see the inside of it is really marble. So it's really nicely marbled. Okay, and I'm going to roll these 2 into a ball. So I have 2 nicely marbled blue ocean theme colored beads. Same thing like earlier on, going to do a swirl. So now we're going to move on to the next step, which is actually making the hole in the beads. So we are going to start with the, I'm going to make the smaller beads into a pair of earrings. So I am going to make a hole in these beads. So if you do not have, for me, I have this metal tool, which actually helps me make the hole in the beads, and it's really sharp at the tip. And because it's smooth, it's actually easier to push through very soft polymer clay. But if you don't have that, not to worry, you can always use a satay stick. Alright? The only thing with satay sticks is you have to make sure that they're kind of smooth and they don't have splinters on them. And when you are actually poking the bead with a satay stick, you want to make sure that you are twisting the satay stick back and forth while pushing it in and not just pushing it straight through like that. So I'm going to start from here. It's always easier to hold the front and the back, the smaller side of it, till it comes out of the bead on the other side. So you just want to keep going till we have it coming out right here. I've made a hole through my bead, and just to make sure, I'm going to go from the other end through the same hole and kind of push it out from the other side as well. And there you go. I'm done with my 2 beads. So next, I'm going to make this as a pendant. So I am going to decide that I do like this side better. This is going to be the front of my pendant. And so I'm going to create the loop of the pendant. You will need 2 pliers for this. You have the sharp nose plier and you have the flat nose plier. So you'll need 2 pliers. Hold my bead this way, and I am going to poke it at the top of my bead. Okay, this part you want to be a little bit careful, so I'm going to poke it in and secure it like that. Alright, and this will be the loop of my pendant, so that I can chain through it. We are then going to place this in the oven. And here are our completed products. We have the necklace and the earring swirls. So thank you so much for joining me today and learning how to make the swirl pattern. So for the next session or the next video, I am planning to teach how to make coasters. So please do tune in again next session, and I look forward to seeing everyone then. Bye!